imagine this. It's a perfectly normal Tuesday morning. You're heading to work, maybe thinking about your day, what you've got planned. Everything is, well, exactly as it should be, normal.
Right, just completely mundane.
And then you see it, a tabby cat. But it's not just sitting there. It looks like it's reading a map.
Uh-huh, that's the hook, isn't it?
Or maybe later you see owls, like hundreds of them swooping through the sky in the middle of the day, and people walking around in these weird, colorful cloaks, whispering about things you just don't understand.
How do you react? That's the question. Do you start thinking you're losing it?
Or do you just blink and try to pretend it didn't happen? Just sort of force everything back into that normal box.
It's a really fascinating question.
Yeah.
That immediate, almost jarring clash between the everyday, the stuff we take for granted, and something completely inexplicable.
And that's exactly where our deep dive is starting today. We're not just talking about weird happenings, but about how we as humans react when our reality, or what we think is reality, starts to, well, wobble a bit.
That's a really key point. Our mission today is to dive into a set of sources that are, I think, for many of us, incredibly well known, iconic even. They're excerpts from a beloved magical story, almost like a modern fairy tale.
Right. But we're not just here to, reminisce or go over the plot points again. The idea is to dig deeper, to find those hidden currents, the little details you might miss, and maybe some insights that aren't obvious on a first read.
We want to kind of distill what's really important in these key moments and why it matters. Try and turn something familiar into a fresh perspective on, well, human nature, identity, how we deal with the unknown.
Exactly, because even stories we think we know inside out can hold layers of meaning, right? Especially when you look at how characters react when something completely new, something totally disruptive, enters their world.
So we're focusing on that clash first, the mundane versus the magical. Seen first through the eyes of someone who is just completely unprepared, Mr. Dursley. And then later through someone else who's equally unprepared but takes a very different path.
It's really a study in perception, denial, and maybe the power of truth eventually. Okay, so let's start with Mr. Dursley. Our sources paint this picture of him very rigid, very routine, wants everything just so. Perfectly normal.
Painfully normal, almost. His biggest fear seems to be anything out of the ordinary.
And on this particular Tuesday, his commute starts normally enough, but then bam, the first crack in his reality. He sees that tabby cat on the wall on Privet Drive.
Not just sitting there, though. That's the key. It looks like it's reading a map.
Which is impossible, obviously. And what's telling is his reaction. He doesn't just glance and forget it. The text says he jerks his head around for a second look.
Right, and when the cat's just sitting there like a normal cat, he immediately rationalizes.
Yeah.
Once been a trick of the light.
It's not just ignoring it, is it? It's like an active effort to erase it from his perception, to keep his world tidy.
Exactly. He's editing his reality in real time. Anything to avoid confronting something that doesn't fit. It shows how hard we can cling to our comfort zones, even when reality is shouting at us.
You've nailed it there. And it doesn't stop. The weirdness just keeps piling up. He sees the same cat later, this time apparently reading a street sign.
Which is even more specific and harder to dismiss.
And then, stuck in traffic, he notices people in these odd cloaks. Emerald green ones, violet ones, and they're not just dressed funny, they're whispering excitedly.
About you-know-who and the Potters. Names that mean absolutely nothing to him just sound like nonsense.
And his reaction isn't curiosity, it's anger. He hates their funny clothes, their stupid new fashion. He thinks it's some kind of stunt, maybe collecting money.
Yeah, his internal monologue is just dripping with disdain for anything different. He can't stand people drawing attention to themselves, especially not like that. He seems genuinely repulsed by anything imaginative or unconventional.
And while he's fuming in his office, completely sealed off, something else is happening outside. Owls.
Hundreds of them, flying in broad daylight, which, as the source points out, is incredibly unusual. Most people haven't seen an owl even at night.
But Mr. Dursley, he's so focused on his drills, his perfectly normal day, he just doesn't see them, doesn't notice the people pointing, staring up.
It's like deliberate blindness, isn't it? He's actively choosing not to see what doesn't fit his rigid world. It's not just that he missed it. He's filtering it out.
Then things get really uncomfortable for him, personal. He's heading home, still trying to rationalize everything, telling himself he's imagining things.
Which the source points out is ironic, because he didn't approve of imagination.
Right, and then this little old man in a violet cloak, someone who looks a lot like Dumbledore, though he doesn't know that actually, comes up and hugs him, right there on the street. calls him a muggle.
And Mr. Dursley's just frozen,
Yeah.
rattled. He desperately hopes he's dreaming. This isn't just seeing something weird anymore. It's like his reality is being physically invaded.
He feels completely out of control, utterly disoriented, and it all comes to a head that evening with the news report.
The final nail in the coffin of his normal day. The news confirms it. Owls flying everywhere, behaving strangely.
And the newscaster seems kind of amused by it all. Then the weatherman, Jim McGuffin, reports people seeing shooting stars all over Britain. Not meteors, shooting stars. And he sort of winks, mentions bonfire night coming early.
So Mr. Dursley is sitting there, absolutely frozen. He's got owls, shooting stars, people in cloaks, weird whispers, being called a muggle. Overwhelming evidence that something extraordinary is happening.
But his reaction, still denial. Aggressive denial, almost.
So what does this whole sequence tell us? Mr. Dursley's absolute refusal to accept anything outside his narrow definition of normal, even with blatant proof. It's really significant, isn't it?
Yeah, it speaks volumes about that human tendency to resist things that make us uncomfortable, things that challenge our view of the world. He's literally trying to unsee reality.
It's had a cautionary tale, maybe, about the dangers of being too rigid, too closed off. It makes you think, doesn't it? Where do we do that? Where do we filter things out because they don't fit what we expect or want to believe?
That's a good question. What are our own blind spots? What oddities do we dismiss as just tricks of the light?
So while Mr. Dursley is fighting tooth and nail to keep things normal, the very next day, or rather leading up to it, things are anything but normal for Harry. His reality is about to be shattered, not just tweaked.
And the Dursleys are central to that too, but in the opposite way. Their attempts to suppress Harry's true nature, to keep him normal, become increasingly desperate. It starts with trying to hide those mysterious letters addressed to Harry.
Right, first just ignoring them, then sealing up the mail slot, nailing wood over the doors and windows.
It gets almost cartoonish, their panic. Until they finally flee, they run away to this tiny, dilapidated hut on a rock out at sea, thinking they've finally escaped whatever is sending these letters.
They think they're safe, cut off, isolated.
But you can't really run from the magical world, can you? Especially not when it's embodied by someone like Hagrid. Oh, Hagrid's entrance is just incredible. The source describes him literally smashing the door down on Harry's 11th birthday. This huge, imposing figure just bursts in, shattering any illusion of safety or normalcy the Dursleys thought they had.
He's not just big, he's like a force of nature. He physically represents the magical world breaking through their pathetic little barriers. His sheer presence is overwhelming.
And he brings magic with him, even if it's a bit uncontrolled at first. When Vernon Dursley insults Dumbledore,
Hagrid loses it. He grabs his big pink umbrella, which we later learn holds the pieces of his wand, whirls it around and shouts, "Never insult Albus Dumbledore in front of me."
and points it at Dudley. There's this flash of violet light, a bang like a firecracker, and suddenly Dudley has a curly pig's tail.
It's hilarious, but also quite startling, isn't it? Hagrid immediately regrets losing his temper, muttering, "Shouldn't have lost me temper."
But then he sort of justifies it, saying Dudley was so much like a pig anyway, there wasn't much left to do. It shows this raw, slightly unpredictable magic.
And it also introduces Hagrid's backstory, and this idea of rules around magic. He explains he wasn't supposed to do magic, strictly speaking, because he got expelled in his third year, one snapped in half.
But Dumbledore let him stay on as gamekeeper, and apparently trusted him enough to bend the rules a bit for this mission, finding Harry, delivering the letters.
So right away you get this sense of rules in the magical world, but also flexibility, especially where Dumbledore's concerned. Hints of a deeper game, maybe.
So what about Harry in all this? His reaction is fascinating, too. The next morning, after Hagrid has revealed everything, wizards, Hogwarts, his parents,
He wakes up convinced it was all a dream. He literally tells himself, "It was a dream. I dreamed a giant called Hagrid came to tell me I was going to a school for wizards. When I open my eyes, I'll be at home in my cupboard."
It's heartbreaking, really. It's not just disbelief, it's a coping mechanism, isn't it? His life has been so miserable, so devoid of anything special, that this incredible truth feels too good, too impossible.
Absolutely. Mr. Dursley denies things because they threaten his comfortable order. Harry denies this because it seems too wonderful to possibly be real given his experience of life so far. He almost wants it not to be true because the disappointment would be too much.
But here's where it gets, as you said, really interesting. Hagrid confirms it's all real, reveals Harry's a wizard, destined for Hogwarts, part of this huge hidden world.
It completely overturns the normal world Harry has always known. But unlike Mr. Dursley's rigid rejection, Harry, once the initial shock fades, He starts to accept it. He gets drawn in.
It's a powerful moment about identity, isn't it? Finding out who you really are, where you truly belong, even if it's terrifying and completely unexpected. Okay, so the truth is out. Harry's a wizard, and his first real taste of this new world, Diagon Alley.
Which begins with a journey through the Leaky Cauldron, a pub that looks completely ordinary, rundown even, to Muggles, a hidden entrance.
Right, they walk through the bar out into this small, walled courtyard behind it. Nothing much to see.
Until Hagrid taps a specific brick in the wall. 3 up, 2 across, I think it is, and the wall just opens up. An archway appears, revealing this bustling, magical street.
Harry's amazement is just palpable, isn't it? And then the archway seals itself back up behind them, solid wall again, Muggles walking past, completely oblivious.
It's such a great visual. You have to know the secret, know the right way in. It establishes that sense of a hidden world, operating right alongside the mundane one, but totally separate. The transition itself is magic.
And Diagon Alley itself, the description is just incredible. It's an overload for the senses.
Absolutely. Shops selling cauldrons, copper, brass, pewter, silver, self-stirring ones, collapsible ones.
Elop's Owl Emporium with all the hooting, apothecaries with strange ingredients, kids staring at the new Nimbus 2000 broomstick in the window.
Robes, telescopes, weird silver instruments Harry doesn't recognize, and that little detail of the woman complaining about the price of dragon liver, 17 sickles an ounce. It makes it feel instantly real, lived in, even with all the strangeness.
It's just bursting with life and magic, not subtle at all. Then they head to Gringotts Bank.
Described as the safest place in the world, except maybe Hogwarts. Run by goblins, who are depicted as quite stern, not exactly friendly.
Harry gets his first look at wizarding money. The gold galleons, silver sickles, bronze nuts, finds out he's actually inherited a fortune from his parents.
Which is another huge revelation for him. But crucially, as they're leaving his vault, Hagrid makes the detour. Vault 713.
Right, and he takes out this grubby little package wrapped in brown paper. Doesn't say what it is, very secretive.
It's presented almost as a minor detail, just part of Hagrid's errands, but it's clearly important. It's the first thread of the central mystery being laid down right there in the open. You just know it's going to come back later.
Definitely. And speaking of first impressions, Harry then has that encounter in the rope shop, Madame Malkin's.
Ah, yes, Draco Malfoy. Even before Harry knows his name, the impression is immediate. Pale, pointed face, bored drawl.
And instantly snobbish. He starts talking about broomsticks, how first years aren't allowed their own, bragging about his father buying him one, complaining about having to go to Hogwarts at all.
And the prejudice comes out almost immediately, talking about his family always being in Slytherin, looking down on Hagrid, and making comments about not letting the other sort in, meaning Muggleborns.
Harry's reaction is instant dislike. The source says Malfoy reminds him strongly of Dudley. It sets Malfoy up as this immediate antagonist, but one rooted in social prejudice, not just bullying.
Absolutely. Malfoy represents that established, pure-blood hierarchy. And then there's the other side of Harry's introduction, his fame.
Yeah, everywhere he goes in Diagon Alley, people are staring, whispering, pointing at his scar. He can't understand it.
It culminates with meeting Professor Quirrell, the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, who's trembling and stuttering, desperate to shake his hand.
Which must be so weird for Harry, who still feels like he knows nothing about magic, nothing about why he's famous. There's this huge gap between how others see him and how he sees himself.
A massive burden to carry from day one. And then the wand fitting at Ollivanders. That's such an iconic scene.
Ollivander himself is so mysterious, and Harry tries wand after wand with chaotic results. Wand's just refusing him.
Builds the anticipation, doesn't it? Till he picks up that one wand, Holly and Phoenix feather, 11 inches, and there's this sudden warmth, red and gold sparks shoot out. It feels right.
And Ollivander's reaction, curious. How very curious. He explains the connection. The phoenix that gave the feather for Harry's wand gave only one other feather.
Or Voldemort's wand. The one that gave Harry his scar.
Chills. It's not just about finding the right tool, is it? It's about destiny. An inescapable link to his enemy, embedded in the very magic he's about to learn.
Exactly. It suggests their fates are intertwined in a really fundamental way. And the section ends with Harry back in the mundane world at Paddington Station, reflecting on it all.
Everyone thinks I'm special, famous, and I can't even remember what I'm famous for. It just captures that sense of bewilderment, the weight of this identity he never asked for. So Harry's got his supplies, this bewildering new identity, and now he just has to get to school. But first, that last month back with the Dursleys.
Which sounds pretty awful, actually. The source says they basically pretended he wasn't there.
Yeah.
treated his chair as empty.
A step up from being locked in the cupboard, maybe? But still incredibly isolating. He's just counting the seconds until September 1st, talking to Hedwig, reading his strange new books.
That feeling of isolation makes his arrival at King's Cross Station even more poignant, doesn't it? He needs to find platform 9384, has no idea how, surrounded by ordinary muggles who definitely can't help. He's feeling lost again.
Until he overhears them, the Weasleys.
Like a whirlwind of red hair and cheerful chaos. Mrs. Weasley fussing over Ron's nose, Fred and George teasing Percy the prefect. It's just this immediate blast of warmth and family.
Such a stark contrast to the Dursleys. They're loud, a bit embarrassing maybe, but so full of life and affection.
And Fred and George immediately spot Harry. Blemmy, they say. He is. Aren't you? Harry Potter. His fame follows him even here.
Which leads to him properly meeting Ron. Ron seems a bit starstruck at first, asking about the scar, but he's also just friendly, normal, in a good way.
And Ron quickly establishes his own background, proudly saying his whole family are wizards, countering Malfoy's earlier snobbery without even knowing it.
Yeah, it immediately positions Ron as genuine, grounded, not obsessed with status like Malfoy.
Ron also talks about the pressure he feels being the sixth in our family to go to Hogwarts, having famous older brothers Bill working with dragons, Charlie with Gringotts in Africa. He feels like he has a lot to live up to.
It makes him instantly relatable, doesn't it? Even in this magical world, you've got sibling rivalry and family expectations. He's the perfect foil for Harry's unique situation.
Definitely. And then on the train, their compartment door slides open and in comes
Hermione Granger. Looking for Neville Longbottom's lost toad, Trevor.
And her first impression is, well, memorable. Bossy know-it-all, already changed into her robes while they're still in Muggle clothes.
She immediately points out Ron has dirt on his nose and criticizes his spell attempt. Not exactly winning friends right off the bat. She seems very focused on rules and proving how much she knows.
Yeah, she's quite abrasive initially, but sharp. She fixes Harry's glasses with a spell, showing off her skills.
It's Ron, though, who brings up something interesting. He mentions seeing in the Daily Prophet, the wizarding newspaper, that someone tried to rob Gringotts.
Right. He says they haven't been caught and adds, don't think they took anything, which is what's odd.
Connecting back to Hagrid and that mysterious Vault 713 again, planting that seed of mystery nice and early.
And then Ron, getting all excited, launches into explaining Quidditch to Harry. The 4 balls, 7 players, seekers, bludgers, the snitch.
Harry's completely captivated. It's another piece of this amazing new world opening up, a sport unlike anything he's ever imagined. Ron's passion for it is infectious.
Okay, the Hogwarts Express journey ends, and they finally arrive. It's dark, they're on a tiny platform.
And Hagrid's there, Fur's ears over here, leading them down this steep, narrow path to a lake.
They get into these little boats, 4 or 5 to a boat, which start moving across the black water by themselves, and then they see it.
Hogwarts Castle. Perched atop a mountain, windows blazing like stars against the dark sky. The description is just breathtaking, designed to inspire awe.
Absolutely. A truly magical first impression after the train ride. Once inside, they're met by Professor McGonagall.
Very stern, very proper. She welcomes them, explains they'll be sorted into their houses shortly, and warns them the sorting ceremony is very important.
Then she leaves them waiting, nerves jangling. Harry's terrified, thinking it's going to do some kind of test he has to perform in front of everyone.
And while they're waiting, they get another surprise. Ghosts. About 20 of them just stream through the back wall, pearly white, transparent, arguing, gliding right through the crowd of first years.
Including the Fat Friar, who seems quite cheerful, welcoming them to Hufflepuff. And they mention Pease the Poltergeist, who isn't really a ghost but causes chaos.
It just immediately establishes how different Hogwarts is. Ghosts are just part of the scenery, part of the school community, normalizes the supernatural right away.
Then McGonagall leads them into the Great Hall, and wow.
Enchanted ceiling, mirroring the night sky outside, thousands of candles floating in midair, the 4 long house tables packed with older students, the teacher's table at the front.
It's overwhelming, grand, makes you feel part of something huge and ancient.
Then the sorting ceremony itself. The battered old sorting hat sings a song about the 4 houses, Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, Slytherin, and their qualities.
Harry's getting more and more nervous. Malfoy looks smug, confident he's heading for Slytherin like his family.
One by one, students are called up, put on the hat, and sorted. Hermione goes to Gryffindor, Ron too. Neville as well after a long pause. Malfoy, instantly to Slytherin.
Then it's Harry's turn. The hat takes ages, whispering in his ear. It senses his potential, his thirst to prove himself. It considers Slytherin.
Harry's desperately thinking, not Slytherin, not Slytherin, and the hat finally shouts, Gryffindor!
A huge moment of relief for Harry in a defining choice. It sets his path, his friendships. It suggests choice plays a part alongside destiny.
After the feast, Dumbledore gives his welcome speech. Welcoming, but with some very specific, slightly odd warnings.
Right. He mentions the Forbidden Forest is, well, forbidden, standard enough. But then he adds that the third-floor corridor on the right-hand side is out of bounds to everyone who does not wish to die a very painful death.
Harry thinks he's joking, but Percy Weasley, the prefect, is dead serious, saying Dumbledore usually gives us a reason why places are out of bounds. It's deliberately mysterious, intriguing, hints at danger within the castle walls.
Establishes Dumbledore's slightly eccentric authority, too, and off to the Gryffindor common room.
Through a portrait hole behind a painting of a fat lady, it's described as cozy, round, full of squashy armchairs, a real sense of belonging for Harry.
And the dormitory with the 4-poster beds. Finally, a proper bed, a place that feels like home.
But his first night isn't entirely peaceful. He has that strange dream.
Yeah, Quirrell's turban is talking to him, telling him to transfer to Slytherin. Malfoy turns into Snape, laughing coldly, and there's a flash of green light.
It's unsettling, like a jumble of anxieties and maybe foreshadowing, planting little seeds about Quirrell, Snape, Voldemort's killing curse.
Definitely. So what's really fascinating here is how fast Harry's world has changed. He's plunged into this place with ancient traditions, complex rules, ghosts, magic, and zero privacy because he's famous. His identity is now completely tied to this world, whether he understands it yet or not.
So the school year gets underway, and the initial wonder starts to mix with, well, the realities of school life, plus some growing suspicions. Harry's fame is a constant issue.
Stares and whispers everywhere he goes. People pointing him out in corridors, doubling back to get a second look. It makes it hard for him just to be a normal student. And navigating the castle itself is a challenge. Those 142 staircases that keep changing, steps that vanish. It sounds like chaos.
Adds to that sense of a living, unpredictable building. But the real challenge comes in potions class.
Professor Snape. Down in the dungeons. Gloomy atmosphere. And Snape makes his feelings clear from the start.
He's head of Slytherin, and the favoritism is blatant. But his treatment of Harry goes beyond that. It feels personal, targeted.
He starts by grilling Harry with questions he couldn't possibly know the answers to about obscure potions ingredients, deliberately trying to humiliate him.
And when Harry can answer, Snape mocks him, takes points from Gryffindor immediately. It's instant antagonism.
We see that bias really clearly when Neville messes up his potion, melts his cauldron, gets covered in boils.
And Snape blames Harry. Says Harry didn't warn him, accuses Harry of letting Neville fail to make himself look better. It's incredibly unfair. It really cements Snape in Harry's mind and ours at this point as the main antagonist within the school. The unfair, cruel teacher.
Definitely sets up that conflict. Needing a break from all that, Harry and Ron go visit Hagrid for tea.
Down in his hut on the edge of the Forbidden Forest, we meet Fang, his boarhound, who looks fierce, but is apparently a coward.
And Hagrid serves them rock cakes, notoriously hard, tooth-breaking even, but it's all offered with genuine warmth and hospitality.
Hagrid complains about Filch, the caretaker, and his cat, Mrs. Norris. Gives a sense of the everyday life and minor conflicts within the school staff.
But then, amidst the cozy chat, Harry spots something. A newspaper cutting on Hagrid's table.
From the Daily Prophet, about the Gringotts break-in. And Harry notices the date July 31st, his birthday, the day they were at Gringotts.
The article says the attempted robbery was at Vault 713, the exact vault Hagrid took that grubby little package from. It also mentions the vault had been emptied earlier that same day, goblins insisting nothing was actually stolen.
Harry puts it together. He asks Hagrid about it, and Hagrid, usually so open and chatty, clams up completely.
Gets really shifty, avoids eye contact, grunts non-committally, says it's secret, and Hogwarts business.
So this raises a huge question, doesn't it? Why is Hagrid so evasive? What was in that vault that someone tried to steal right after he took it?
Exactly. That seemingly minor detail from Diagon Alley suddenly feels much more significant. It connects directly to a crime, to secrecy. It really fuels the feeling that something important and possibly dangerous is hidden in Hogwarts. The plot thickens considerably.
Okay, the mystery around Vault 713 and Hagrid's package is simmering. And then things escalate dramatically during the first Quidditch match, focusing suspicions squarely on Snape.
But first, Harry actually has to learn to fly. flying lessons with Madam Hooch.
On those dodgy old-school brooms, and poor Neville, again, has immediate trouble. Shoots up into the air uncontrollably, falls off, breaks his wrist.
Neville's mishaps really serve to highlight Harry's natural talent, though. Because while Hooch takes Neville to the hospital wing, Malfoy snatches Neville's Remembrall, that little glass ball that reminds you if you've forgotten something.
And Malfoy flies off with it, taunting Harry, planning to hide it. Harry, without even thinking, just jumps on his broom, his first real flight, and soars after him.
His raw talent is incredible. He catches the Remembrall after a spectacular dive, and who should be watching?
Professor McGonagall. She looks furious at first, ordering him to follow her. Harry thinks he's done for.
But instead, she takes him to Oliver Wood, the Gryffindor Quidditch captain. She's seen his potential, she bends the rules first years aren't usually allowed on the team, and makes Harry the new Gryffindor seeker.
It's a huge moment for Harry. Recognition for a real skill, a place where he belongs, a chance to excel. Wood is ecstatic, starts talking about getting Harry a Nimbus 2000.
So the first match arrives. Gryffindor versus Slytherin. Tension is high. And then, surprise, surprise, Snape is refereeing.
Which immediately feels wrong.
Yeah.
Biased. His sneering face is noted. Everyone feels he's going to be unfair.
And during the match, as Harry spots the golden snitch, his brand new Nimbus 2000, starts bucking violently, trying to throw him off, high above the pitch.
It's terrifying. He's clinging on for dear life. Down in the stands, Hermione notices something.
She sees Snape staring intently at Harry, muttering under his breath, and crucially, not blinking. She immediately recognizes the signs of a curse, a jinx.
Convinced Snape is trying to kill Harry, she acts fast, runs over, discreetly sets Snape's robes on fire using a spell.
In the commotion, she accidentally knocks over Professor Quirrell, who's standing right behind Snape. Snape breaks eye contact, the curse is broken.
Harry manages to regain control of his broom, and in a final, desperate lunge, he doesn't quite catch the snitch. He accidentally swallows it. But it counts. Gryffindor wins.
Lee Jordan's commentary is ecstatic. But afterwards, Ron and Hermione are absolutely certain. Snape jinxed the broom. They saw him muttering. Hermione saw him not blinking.
This is a really critical moment, isn't it? Their suspicion isn't vague anymore. It's laser-focused on Snape. They believe he actively tried to harm Harry during the match. Everything points to him being the villain, trying to get past whatever's hidden in the school. Right, so Snape is now firmly in their sights as the bad guy. And this suspicion leads them straight back to Hagrid, trying to figure out what Snape might be after.
They confront Hagrid about Snape's behavior at the match, about the forbidden third-floor corridor, and Hagrid, bless him, lets slip more than he should.
He accidentally reveals the three-headed dog's name is Fluffy, says he bought him off a Greek chappie down the pub,
And confirms he lent Fluffy to Dumbledore, specifically to guard Summit, something top secret.
They press him, asking if it's the package from Gringotts, if Snape's trying to steal it. Hagrid gets defensive, insists Snape wouldn't dare.
But then he lets slip another crucial name. He says whatever Fluffy's guarding, that's between Professor Dumbledore and Nicholas Flamel.
Nicholas Flamel, that name again. Dropped almost casually, but it hangs in the air. Another piece of the puzzle, though they don't know what it means yet.
It deepens the mystery significantly. Who is this Flamel? Why is he involved with Dumbledore and this secret object?
Fast forward to the Halloween feast. Everyone's having a great time in the Great Hall, decorations everywhere.
And suddenly, Professor Quirrell, the nervous, stuttering defense against the dark arts teacher, bursts in, looking genuinely terrified.
He screams, "Troll in the dungeons, thought you ought to know," and then faints dead away.
Chaos erupts. Dumbledore calmly restores order, tells the prefects to lead their houses back to the dormitories. But Harry has a sudden, awful thought.
Hermione. She stormed off earlier, upset after Ron made fun of her, and went to the girls' bathroom to cry. She doesn't know about the troll.
So Harry grabs Ron. They have to go warn her. It's a moment of pure, impulsive friendship overriding the rules.
As they sneak off, they see Snape heading towards the third floor, not away from the supposed troll in the dungeons, which looks incredibly suspicious to them, reinforces their idea that he's up to no good up there.
Then they smell it. That foul stench. They find the troll. It's huge, 12 feet tall, gray skin, carrying a massive club. And it's heading into the girls' bathroom where Hermione is hiding.
The scene in the bathroom is terrifying. The troll smashing sinks, swinging its club, Hermione screaming, Harry acts on instinct, jumps on its back, shoves his wand up its nose.
Gross, but effective. It distracts the troll. And Ron, remembering the levitation charm Hermione corrected him on earlier, Wingardium Leviosa, uses it to levitate the troll's own club.
And drop it on its head. knocks the troll out cold, just as McGonagall, Snape, and Quirrell arrive.
They're in deep trouble. But Hermione does something amazing. She lies, takes all the blame, says she went looking for the troll, and Harry and Ron saved her.
It's a turning point for her character, isn't it? Prioritizing friendship over rules. It cements the bond between the three of them. McGonagall takes points, but also awards them points for saving Hermione.
But Hermione, ever observant, points something out afterwards. While they were focused on the troll, she noticed what it was standing near.
A trapdoor. She says, "Didn't you see what it was standing on?" She logically connects it. Fluffy, the three-headed dog, must be guarding that trapdoor.
And Harry instantly makes the final connection. The package from Vault 713. The thing Hagrid took. It must be under the trapdoor now. Guarded by Fluffy.
So putting it all together, the troll incident, Snape being seen near the third floor, the trapdoor, Fluffy, Hagrid's slip about Nicholas Flamel, the Gringotts connection, it all points to something incredibly valuable hidden right there in the school, and Snape seems determined to get it. The stakes just shot way up.
Okay, they know where the object is, roughly, and that Snape seems to be after it, but they still don't know what it is or who Nicholas Flamel is. The breakthrough comes from an unexpected source. But first, Christmas arrives at Hogwarts, and Harry receives an anonymous gift, his father's invisibility cloak.
Which is just mind-blowing, a direct link to his dad, an incredibly powerful magical object. It feels significant, like a tool he was meant to have for what's coming.
Absolutely. It allows him to explore the castle undetected at night, which leads him to another discovery, the Mirror of Erised.
He looks into it and sees his family, his parents, grandparents, all standing around him smiling. It's the deepest desire of his heart.
Dumbledore finds him there eventually and explains the mirror's power. It shows you your heart's desire, but it doesn't give knowledge or truth. People have wasted away in front of it, driven mad by what they see but can't have.
It's a really profound lesson about desire, loss, and the danger of living in dreams instead of reality. Dumbledore advises Harry not to seek it out again.
Meanwhile, the quest to identify Nicholas Flamel continues. Harry, Ron, and Hermione spend ages searching the library, going through huge ancient books, but nothing. Flamel isn't listed anywhere obvious.
They're getting really frustrated. Until Harry is opening a chocolate frog, one of those wizarding suites with collectible cards of famous witches and wizards.
And he looks at the card he got, Albus Dumbledore. He reads the back and suddenly it clicks. The card mentions Dumbledore is famous for his work on alchemy with his partner.
Nicholas Flamel. It was right there on a chocolate frog card all along.
What's so fascinating here is how this crucial piece of information, the key to the entire mystery, isn't hidden in some forbidden tome, but in something completely ordinary, almost trivial, a sweet wrapper.
It's brilliant. So they finally know who he is, and the card reveals what he's famous for. He's the only known maker of the Sorcerer's Stone.
The Sorcerer's Stone, a legendary substance that produces the elixir of life, granting immortality. And it can turn any metal into pure gold. The card mentions Flamel is currently 665 years old.
Suddenly, everything makes sense. The Gringotts break-in attempt, Fluffy guarding the trapdoor, Snape's apparent interest. They're all after the Sorcerer's Stone, the ultimate prize.
It's that massive aha moment. All the clues finally snap into place. It really underscores that idea that vital information can hide in plain sight, in the most unexpected places. You just need to know how to look, or sometimes just get lucky, like Harry did with that chocolate frog card.
Right, so they know it's the Sorcerer's Stone, and their conviction that Snape is after it hardens into certainty. But, as we know, the truth is way more complicated. Things take a darker turn with a trip into the Forbidden Forest.
It starts with Quidditch again.
Oh.
Oliver Wood warns Harry that Snape is refereeing the next match against Hufflepuff and will be looking for any excuse to penalize Gryffindor. This just feeds their narrative about Snape being the villain.
Harry feels a bit safer knowing Dumbledore will be watching this time, which is, again, setting us up for a misdirection.
Gryffindor wins the match quickly, Harry catching the snitch almost immediately. But afterwards, Harry sees Snape sneaking off into the Forbidden Forest.
Naturally suspicious, Harry grabs his invisibility cloak and follows him. He wants to see what Snape is up to.
This leads to Harry, Ron, and Hermione getting detention, along with Malfoy for being caught out of bed after the dragon incident we'll get to, and their detention with Hagrid in the Forbidden Forest at night.
Which sounds terrifying. Hagrid tells them something injured a unicorn, and they have to find it. They split up. Harry and Malfoy go with Fang.
They find the unicorn. It's dead. And leaning over it, drinking its blood, is a cloaked figure.
The description is chilling. Malfoy screams and runs. Harry is frozen, and then searing pain shoots through his scar. The figure starts moving towards him.
But then a centaur, Firenze, gallops through the trees, rears up, and scares the figure away. He saved Harry.
Firenze explains the significance of what Harry saw. Killing a unicorn is monstrous. Drinking its blood keeps you alive, even if you're an inch from death, but at a terrible price, a cursed half-life.
And Firenze tells Harry who would be desperate enough to do that. Someone trying to regain strength, waiting for the Sorcerer's Stone. He says the figure is Voldemort, hiding in the forest, getting stronger.
This is huge. Confirmation that Voldemort is alive, present, and actively seeking the stone. It raises the stakes exponentially. Firenze also makes cryptic remarks about Harry's future and the planets.
And just as Firenze is carrying Harry back, Harry overhears Snape talking to Quirrell in a clearing. Snape sounds angry, menacing.
He asks Quirrell, "Have you found out how to get past that beast of Hagrid's yet?"
He accuses Quirrell of not having the right mind for it, mentions Quirrell's little bit of hocus pocus. He warns Quirrell, "You don't want me as your enemy."
Okay, let's really unpack this. For Harry, listening under the cloak, this conversation is the final, undeniable proof. Snape is clearly threatening Quirrell, trying to force him to reveal how to get past Fluffy. Snape must be the one trying to steal the stone for Voldemort, or maybe even for himself. It completely solidifies Snape as the villain in Harry's mind, even though, as we later find out, the conversation means the exact opposite. It's masterful misdirection. It also confirms Voldemort's presence and intent, making the threat incredibly real and immediate for Harry. Before that final confrontation, though, there's the whole dragon episode, which is, frankly, chaotic and kind of highlights Hagrid's, well, his slightly reckless love for dangerous creatures.
Oh, definitely. Hagrid somehow acquires a dragon egg, which is highly illegal, from a cloaked stranger in the Hogshead pub, apparently winning it in a card game. He's absolutely thrilled.
Harry, Ron, and Hermione get roped into helping him keep it secret and eventually hatch it under a fire. Out comes Norbert, a baby Norwegian Ridgeback.
Norbert is cute for about 5 minutes, then grows incredibly fast and becomes extremely dangerous. Sneezing, fire, snapping. He bites Ron's hand, and the bite seems poisonous. Ron's hand swells up and turns green.
It becomes clear Hagrid absolutely cannot keep a dragon in his wooden hut. They persuade him Norbert has to go. Ron contacts his brother Charlie, who works with dragons in Romania. Charlie agrees to help smuggle Norbert out.
But disaster strikes again. Malfoy, snooping around Hagrid's hut, sees Norbert through the window. He knows Hagrid has an illegal dragon.
And worse, Ron, delirious with fever from the bite in the hospital wing, realizes Malfoy must have found Charlie's letter detailing the escape plan, taking Norbert to the tallest tower at midnight. Malfoy knows everything.
So the plan has to go ahead, but now it's incredibly risky. Harry and Hermione, hidden under the invisibility cloak, have to carry the large crate containing Norbert up countless stairs to the astronomy tower.
They manage it. Charlie's friends arrive on broomsticks, harness Norbert, and fly away with him. Mission accomplished. They're exhausted, but relieved.
Until they realize they've left the invisibility cloak at the top of the tower.
Oh no! And of course, who catches them on the way down? Filch. And he's got Malfoy with him, who tipped him off. Neville also gets caught. He bravely tried to sneak out to warn them about Malfoy.
Professor McGonagall is furious. Detention for all 4 of them. And she takes 50 points from Gryffindor. For each of them, plus Malfoy. So 150 points lost for Gryffindor in one night.
Devastating. They lose the House Cup lead they'd worked so hard for. Everyone in Gryffindor hates them.
What's really interesting here, though, is how Hagrid's well-intentioned but irresponsible actions, getting the dragon, getting drunk in the pub, and maybe revealing info, create vulnerabilities. He accidentally told the stranger who gave him the egg how to handle Fluffy. This connects back later. It also shows the harsh reality of consequences in the wizarding world. Breaking rules, even with good intentions, has a steep price.
Okay, so after the dragon fiasco and the forest detention, Harry has a sudden realization. He connects Hagrid's comment about telling the stranger in the pub how to calm Fluffy, play him music with everything else.
The cloaked figure in the forest, seeking the stone for Voldemort. The Gringotts break-in attempt after Hagrid took the stone. He figures it must have been Snape, or maybe even Voldemort disguised, who got Hagrid drunk and tricked him into revealing the secret to getting past Fluffy.
Convinced, Snape now knows how to bypass the first protection, and with the stone seemingly vulnerable, Harry decides they have to warn Dumbledore immediately.
They race to McGonagall's office, but she tells them Dumbledore isn't there. He received an urgent owl from the Ministry of Magic and had to leave for London.
Harry's heart sinks. He instantly suspects Snape arranged it, sent a fake message to get Dumbledore out of the way. It feels like the perfect setup for Snape to steal the stone tonight.
As they're reeling from this, Snape himself appears, giving them one final menacing warning about being out of bed at night, threatening expulsion if they're caught again. It feels like Snape is clearing the path for himself.
This is the moment of decision for Harry. He's absolutely convinced Snape is going for the stone now. He declares he's going after it himself. He doesn't care about expulsion. He argues stopping Voldemort from getting the stone is far more important.
He says, I'm going through that trapdoor tonight, and nothing you two say is going to stop me. Voldemort killed my parents, remember. He makes that incredibly powerful statement. I'll never go over to the dark side.
It's incredibly brave, and Ron and Hermione, despite their fear, immediately stand by him. We're with you, Rain says. Their loyalty is absolute.
Hermione even takes decisive, if morally gray, action. Neville tries to stop them leaving the common room, wanting to protect Gryffindor from losing more points. Hermione uses the full body bind curse, Petrificus Totalis, on him, freezing him solid. She apologizes, but says it's for his own good and theirs.
Demonstrates her ruthless pragmatism when the stakes are this high. So the three of them, under the invisibility cloak, head for the third-floor corridor.
They face the gauntlet of protections. First, Fluffy. Harry plays the flute Hagrid gave him, and the dog falls asleep. They open the trapdoor.
Down they go, landing in Devil's Snare. It starts wrapping around them. Hermione, panicking at first, remembers it hates sunlight. She conjures bluebell flames, making the plant recoil, saving Ron.
Next, the chamber full of flying keys. Harry spots an old one with a broken wing. He uses his seeker skills on a broomstick provided, catching the right key after a frantic chase.
Then, the giant chessboard. They have to play their way across as living chess pieces. Ron, being the chess expert, takes charge.
He plays brilliantly, directing Harry and Hermione. But to win, he has to sacrifice himself, letting the giant white queen smash his knight piece. He's knocked unconscious.
Harry and Hermione make it across, devastated, but knowing Ron made it possible. The next room has a troll, but it's already knocked out, suggesting someone else came through recently. Snape, they assume.
Finally, the potions riddle. 7 bottles, a logic puzzle written on a scroll, fire blocking the way forward and back. Hermione, using pure logic, figures it out. One potion lets the drinker move forward through the black fire. One lets them go back through the purple fire.
There's only enough of the forward potion for one person. Hermione insists Harry drink it, telling him he's the better wizard for facing what's ahead. She drinks the backwards potion to go back and help Ron.
It's an incredible sequence, showcasing each of their strengths. Harry's bravery and skill, Ron's strategic mind and sacrifice, Hermione's intellect and loyalty. They only got through because they worked together.
Harry drinks the potion, steps through the black fire, expecting to finally face Snape, the man he's believed all year was trying to steal the stone, the man who hated his father.
And it's not Snape, it's Quirrell. Professor Quirrell, the stuttering, seemingly harmless defense against the dark arts teacher.
The shock must have been immense. Quirrell isn't stuttering anymore. His face is calm, cold. He admits everything.
He let the troll in on Halloween. He tried to kill Harry at the Quidditch match. Snape was actually muttering a counter curse, trying to save Harry. Snape suspected Quirrell all along and was trying to protect Harry.
It completely flips the script. Everything they thought they knew about Snape was wrong. He wasn't the villain, he was the protector. Quirrell was the enemy, hiding in plain sight.
And then Quirrell reveals the horrifying truth. He unwraps his turban, turns around, and on the back of his head is a face. Pale, chalky white, with red, glinting eyes.
Voldemort. Alive, but barely. Sharing Quirrell's body like a parasite. He's been with Quirrell all year, directing him, growing stronger. It's grotesque, terrifying.
Voldemort Quirrell needs the stone to regain a body of his own. He uses Harry, putting him in front of the mirror of Erazed, believing Harry can get the stone out.
And somehow, Harry does. Because he looks in the mirror and sees himself finding the stone, but his deepest desire isn't to use it, just to find it, to keep it safe from Voldemort. And the stone magically appears in his pocket.
The mirror's protection, perhaps Dumbledore's design. It only gives the stone to someone who wants to find it, but not use it.
Voldemort realizes Harry has it, orders Quirrell to seize him. But when Quirrell touches Harry's bare skin...
Quirrell screams in agony. His hands blister and burn as if touching fire. Harry realizes Quirrell can't touch him.
It's the protection Harry's mother left in his skin when she died for him. Love magic.
Yeah.
Harry, thinking fast, grabs Quirrell's face, holding on as Quirrell burns.
Voldemort is screaming at Quirrell to kill Harry, to finish him. Harry feels the agonizing pain in his scar, feels Quirrell's grip weaken, and then blacks out.
So what does this all mean? The climax completely shatters expectations. The true villain revealed, the shocking nature of Voldemort's survival, Snape's true loyalty. It's a powerful lesson about judging by appearances and about the unexpected power of love and sacrifice. Harry's inherent goodness, his desire to protect rather than possess, is ultimately what saves him and thwarts Voldemort. Harry wakes up sometime later. He's in the hospital wing, surrounded by sweets and gifts, and Dumbledore is there.
Dumbledore explains what happened after Harry passed out. He arrived just in time to pull Quirrell off Harry, though Voldemort escaped Quirrell's dying body.
And Dumbledore reveals the fate of the stone. He and Nicholas Flamel had a little chat, and they've decided to destroy it.
Flamel and his wife Perenelle have enough elixirs stored to tidy up their affairs, and then they will die. Dumbledore presents it not as a tragedy, but almost peacefully.
He shares that incredible line, "To the well-organized mind, death is but the next great adventure." He argues that immortality and infinite wealth, the gifts of the stone, aren't necessarily wonderful things because humans often choose what's worst for them.
It's a deeply philosophical moment, a commentary on the nature of life, death, and desire, delivered with Dumbledore's characteristic wisdom.
Dumbledore confirms Voldemort is still out there, weakened again, needing another body to possess. But he emphasizes the importance of facing fear directly, telling Harry to use Voldemort's name. Fear of a name increases fear of the thing itself.
Powerful advice. Harry asked Dumbledore some direct questions. Why couldn't Quirrell touch him? His mother's love protection. Why did Dumbledore give him the invisibility cloak? It was his father's. Did Dumbledore intend for him to face Voldemort?
Dumbledore's answers about his own intentions are a bit vague, aren't they? Leaving Harry and us wondering just how much he orchestrates, how much he foresaw. It adds to Dumbledore's mystique.
Very much so. But the school year ends on a high note. At the final feast, Gryffindor is in last place for the House Cup because of the points lost. Slytherin has already won 4 years running.
But Dumbledore announces some last-minute points. 50 points to Ron for the best-played game of chess Hogwarts has seen in many years. 50 points to Hermione for the use of cool logic in the face of fire. 60 points to Harry for pure nerve and outstanding courage.
Tying Gryffindor with Slytherin, the hall is in uproar, but then Dumbledore adds one more award. 10 points to Neville Longbottom for having the courage to stand up to your friends.
Pushing Gryffindor into first place. They win the House Cup in this incredible, dramatic turnaround. It's a celebration of all their different kinds of bravery.
A fantastic ending to the year. And just before Harry leaves, Hagrid visits him, feeling incredibly guilty about letting slip the information about Fluffy.
Harry reassures him it wasn't his fault, and Hagrid gives Harry a gift, a leather-bound photo album magically filled with moving pictures of James and Lily Potter.
A beautiful, deeply meaningful gift, connecting Harry to the parents he never knew, providing that sense of family he saw in the mirror of arrest.
And then it's time to go home, back to the mundane world. The contrast is immediate at the train station. Uncle Vernon sees Mrs. Weasley, looks disgusted by her warmth and her wizarding family.
He rudely dismisses Harry, reinforcing that divide between the magical world's acceptance and the Dursleys' rejection. It reminds us what Harry is returning to.
But Harry's different now. He's got knowledge, friends, a sense of self. And as they leave the station, he has a final mischievous thought.
He realizes the Dursleys don't know he's actually not allowed to use magic outside of school. He grins, thinking he's going to have a lot of fun with Dudley this summer.
It's a perfect ending note, isn't it? Shows his newfound confidence, his resilience. He's not just the victim anymore. He's got a secret weapon, even if he can't technically use it.
Exactly. It shows how much he's grown. From the boy who desperately wanted things to be normal, to the young wizard ready to embrace and maybe even playfully weaponize his extraordinary reality. He's returning changed.
And that really wraps up our deep dive for today. We've traced this journey from Mr. Dursley's stubborn denial, his almost violent rejection of anything strange,
to Harry's initial shock, his denial born of hope rather than fear, and then his gradual, sometimes reluctant but ultimately brave acceptance of a world far beyond his imagining.
We saw how tiny details, a cat with a map, a package from Gringotts, name on a chocolate frog card, weren't just details, they were threads pulling us into this complex tapestry of bravery, loyalty, mystery.
And that constant theme of appearances being deceiving. Snape, Quirrell, even the Sorcerer's Stone itself, presented as this ultimate prize, but ultimately deemed too dangerous to exist by Dumbledore.
It really makes you think about how we perceive things, doesn't it? How quick we are to judge, to assume, based on incomplete information or preconceived notions, just like Harry assumes Snape was the villain all along.
Exactly. And it highlights the power of connection. Harry, Ron, and Hermione succeeding because they trusted each other, because their different strengths complemented each other. The magic wasn't just in the wands, but in that bond.
So maybe the final thought for you listening is this. How often do we encounter things in our own lives, maybe not magical, but unexpected, uncomfortable truths or details that don't quite fit our narrative?
Do we look closer? Do we question our assumptions? Or do we just dismiss them, like Mr. Dursley dismissing that map-reading cat, trying to keep our own version of Privet Drive perfectly, rigidly normal?
Food for thought. What secrets might be hiding in plain sight if we only dared to look?
Until next time, keep diving deep.
And keep asking questions.